Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make this spooky, scary pumpkin house. And not only will I show you how to make the scary pumpkin itself, but I'll also show you how to make the surroundings of the pumpkin, including these really creepy pumpkin-infested candles, these really teeny tiny little graves, the general creepy vibe that you get around the pumpkin, and I'll also show you how to make all of the walls, and I'll show you how to make it look really nice and creepy. Plus, as a nice little added bonus, I'll also show you how to do the inside of the pumpkin. I suppose this is more of a jack-o'-lantern, because inside here we have a nice candle-themed bed, we also have this big giant nether brick chandelier, and we also have some lightings on the wall. There's not too much more in this house, but this could definitely be molded into something that is a lot more home-worthy. So if you were looking for a Halloween-themed house to build, I think that you've found it. Without any further ado, why don't I show you how to actually make this thing? So, if you want to make it, here's what you'll need. Grab yourself some orange clay, some lime clay, some block of quartz, some quartz stairs, some quartz slabs, some stone slabs, some yellow wool, some red wool, and some netherrack. Plus, we need every single other one of those materials that you can see in the inventory right now. Plus, guys, we'll probably need even more stuff. I'm really forgetful when it comes to these sort of things, and, well, I've probably forgotten something. So, once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here. Well, what you want to do is look directly at the ground, like I'm doing now. And you want to begin by placing a row of 11 orange clay in a row on the floor. You want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You then from this 11th block want to do 2 upper right diagonals like this. 1, 2. Then you want to go up by 1. Do an upright diagonal. Go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. There we go. Then do an up left diagonal. Go up by 1. Then 2 up left diagonals. 1 and 2. Then go left by 10. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then do 2 bottom left diagonals. 1 and 2. Go down 1. Do a bottom left diagonal. Go down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do a bottom right diagonal, go down 1, do a bottom right diagonal. You'll end up with a shape that should look exactly like this. And that is perfect because that is exactly what you want to have. That is the base of your pumpkin. Well, what you want to do, once you have the base of your pumpkin, is you want to add an additional layer of orange stained clay that goes all the way around the top and all the way around the outside of the previous shape that you've made. So, 1 row higher, 1 row outwards, in relation to the base of your pumpkin, you want to add another row of orange clay. And by the way, you don't have to use orange clay if you don't like. If you would prefer, let's say, yellow clay, or maybe even want some yellow wool or orange wool, whatever color you like would fit equally well with the orange clay. I just like the particular really realistic-y orange good looking clay for my particular pumpkin, but you can use what you like. And the effect that you're looking for is this. This is what you want to have for the base of your pumpkin. Well, once you have the base of your pumpkin, you then want to, once again, we want to do the exact same thing again. We want to do a layer of orange clay, 1 row above and 1 row around what we've just done, essentially. So we want to do exactly what we've just done, except one more time, going all the way around the top and all the way around the outside of the orange stained clay layer that you just placed. And once again, just to remind you, if you want to use a different material, I really would suggest it. If for some reason you're not a fan of the orange clay, or maybe it's just too difficult for you to get in your survival world, wool will look just as good, although there is the whole burning it down thing that you might worry about. That's specifically why I used clay, as a matter of fact, is because there is a little bit of pyrotechnics involved later on. So I didn't want to burn my thing down, as I have done in the past, and I just wanted to have a nice, reliable, non-burnable down house. But there you go. Now we have 3 layers of orange stained clay on the ground. We then want to take that last layer, that 3rd layer, and we want to add 5 layers of orange directly on top of it. So we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we want to go all the way around our pumpkin, and we want to do the exact same thing. So we just want to build up every single one of these blocks of the pumpkin pumpkin, and they want to become as high as the very first row that we just extended. Now, this is going to take a while or so, and you guys don't really learn too much from watching me do this, so I'm going to speed this up just a bit. And there we go, we have just added a layer of 5 going all the way around on top of that third layer of orange. Now, I understand that will take you a while, so pause this if necessary if you want to catch up. But once you've done that, this is what you want to do next. So, what we now want to do is we want to take the top of our pumpkin and we want to add a layer of orange stained clay that sits one row above and one row inside of the previous layer of orange. So we're now going to work on shrinking back down our pumpkin shape. That's exactly what we're going to do. I'm sure that you guys understand how this is going to work. I'm sure you know how to do this. We've basically been doing the reverse of this all along. So I'm sure that it won't be any difficulty to you whatsoever to actually do this at all. So I'm just going to continue going around, and once you do have that first layer of orange one row above and one row inside, you then want to add another layer of that orange on top of what you've just made. So add another layer of orange directly on top of that layer of orange. So I'm just going to add a layer of orange on top of that orange, and we will now have a row of 2 going all the way around the top, and that's wonderful. Well, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to one row above and one row inside. Once again, we are going to do a layer of orange, except this time the orange is going to connect at the corners. You may have noticed that the orange did not previously connect at the corners, but this layer of orange is going to, and as a matter of fact, the next 2 layers of orange, the final 2 layers of orange, will also connect at the corners as well. This is very specifically to change the shape of the top of the pumpkin, to make it a little bit more pumpkin-like, and there's no other real reason to do it. So there we go. That's the first layer of orange. We now want to do 2 more of this. Yeah, that's right, guys. You want to do 2 more of this, and it's, again, one row above, one row inside, and you want to just make sure it connects at the corners. So we're just going to go all the way around. We're going to do it. It gets faster and faster and easier to do this the closer you get to the top, because of course we are shrinking this and we give ourselves much less of an area to work with. So we have the penultimate layer right there, and what we're now going to do is we are going to add, you know what, this layer, you don't even have to do this again, because this next layer, you want to completely fill the top of your pumpkin in. So we could have done exactly what we did previously, but then we would have had to have just filled this in anyway. So we may as well just do this now. We may as well fill this in, and this will give us a big giant orange shape. So we're just going to fill the top of this in, then we'll add the stalk on top of the pumpkin. Is that what it's called? The big green bit? I don't know. I've got no clue. But that's what we're going to be adding next. So this is the shape that we want to have. Very pumpkin-like, but also a little bit flat. We will be taking care of that in just a mo. Okay. All the way on top of the center of the pumpkin, you want to do this. So this is kind of difficult to explain, but let's say you're on the front of your pumpkin. This is the front of my pumpkin. You want to find the top middle block on the front. It's this one. So you have a row of 7 here. This is a row of 7. You can count them from either side and find the 4th block. So this is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. This is the 4th block. You want to move in and find the 3rd block coming in towards back. That's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And you want to do a row of 5 lime clay coming towards back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then take the center block in this row of 5, go left and right of it each by 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. And what you then want to do is you want to add a single lime clay in each one of the 4 corners of the shape that you've made. Then take the center of this shape, take the very center block, extend it up by 1, then go left of it, right of it, up and below it, each by 1. Then take the center block again, extend it up by 1. Then from this center block, going towards the right of the pumpkin, do 2 upright diagonals. That is 1 and that is 2. And that will be the very center of the top of your pumpkin. Nice and simple. And there you go, guys. That's all you want to have for the top of your pumpkin. You have the stalk now. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to change the pumpkin's face. The pumpkin has a much more shapely face than is displayed here, and we want to make it much shapelier. We want to give it a nice, really spooky, scary grin. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the 5 bottom center blocks here right at the base of our pumpkin, and we are going to extend these blocks outwards. So we want to take the 5 middle blocks, so we can count in from either side, and we can find the third block coming in. That's 1, 2, 3, and make that 4, and then you can begin your row of 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll note that you have 3 blocks either side now right at the bottom. We're then going to take this row, and we are going to extend this row outwards by a further 1. And what we're now going to do is we are going to take this very left-hand block in this row of 5. We're going to go up from it by 1. We're then going to go left of it by 3. That's 1, 2, 3. We're then going to do an up left diagonal, up by 1. We're then going to leave a gap of 2, so that's 1 and 2, and we're still going up, and we want to go up by 2 now, 1, 2, so you see we leave the gap of 2, and then we go up and we place 2. We then, from the second block, want to do 2 up right diagonal, so that's 1 and 2. We then want to go right 1, down 1, right 1. We then want to, leaving a gap of 3, we want to go right. So 1, 2, 3, leave that gap of 3. And on this 4th block, we want to place 2 orange going right. That's 1 and 2. Then up 1, right 1. Then do 2 bottom right diagonals, 1 and 2. We then want to go down 1, then leave a gap of 2 coming down, and then place 2, 1 and 2. Then do a bottom left diagonal, left by 2, 1, 2, and you want to end up with a shape that should look like this. Now, this might look a little bit confusing at the moment, but this is going to look a lot better in just a mo. Because what we're now going to do, can you see these 2 holes up at the top? We're going to take these holes and we're going to make them eyes. So we'll start with this left-hand hole up at the top, and we're going to take this hole, we're going to knock a block below it by 1. Then right 1, down 1, right 1. Destroy any orange clay blocks that obstruct anything, so just destroy the blocks around. Take this right-hand hole and go down from this hole by 1, destroy a hole down by 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, destroy the orange behind. There you have the pumpkin's scary, spooky eyes. Now what we're going to do is we are going to make the mouth holes. So this is a bit difficult to explain, but you see right at the bottom here where we have this row of 4 that's open. You want to make that a row of 3, so just fill in that very bottom right-hand empty space. And we want to take this row of 3, and starting from the left-hand side, we want to do an up left diagonal, and we want to knock a block in. Then go left by 1. Do an up left diagonal, knock a block in. Then knock a block up. Then you kind of want to move inwards, and you want to knock out another block. Then you want to do an up left diagonal, and you want to knock out a block like this. Destroy this block as well, this block that we have in front of us, so that we have completely, like now we have no obstructions in the mouth. And then you want to move right, and you want to destroy this block that I have right here highlighted. Knock out the bottom right diagonal block to this. And then the next bottom right diagonal block. Go right by 1, knock that block out. Then do an upright diagonal, knock out that block. Go right by 2, knocking out blocks. Do a bottom right diagonal, knock out that block. Go right by 1, knock out that block. Do 2 upright diagonals, knocking out the blocks. Then move backwards and destroy this diagonal block. Then also destroy this block diagonally that we've just destroyed there, and the block just below it. Now we want to come all the way to the very bottom of the mouth once again, so that we can kind of start on from the opposite side. And we want to start from the right hand block of this row of 3, and we want to knock out this block up right diagonally from this end block. We want to knock out the block to the right of it. Do an upright diagonal, knock out the block to the right. Then knock out the block just above this, and then you can knock out this block upright diagonally of that. So you want to have something which should look like this, and you should find that that is mostly even on both sides. We then want to knock out all of this space in between the mouth here, and there you have a pretty scary, spooky pumpkin. Now, let's make sure that both sides are even. I think that we've actually destroyed an additional block on the right-hand side, but that is actually correct because we want the grin to be a bit creepier. On the right-hand side, you can see we've destroyed this block just above here. We want to, on this side, destroy the same block just above, because that will make the mouth look a bit spookier. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, your pumpkin. That is the base of your pumpkin house. Now, we're going to do a couple of things which I think improve this house a bit. We'll focus on the outside, and then we'll focus on the inside. So, we're now going to make a couple of candles around the house. Some big giant candles. The idea here is we want to take out our lime hardened clay, or maybe even a different color. Maybe we want to use the dark green, the green hardened clay. And we want to kind of just do a random abstract shape on the floor. This can be any shape you want. Just make it look as though it could be like pumpkin tentacles, if that makes sense to you, kind of like an octopus. We then want to use our block of quartz, and we want to form a candle shape. So just a stick of block of quartz coming up from the ground. This can be any way you like, it can be as big as you like, and it can look how you like. On top of the top block of quartz, we want a red wool with yellow wool on top, and then in any direction, we want a yellow wool diagonally placed to the top yellow. We then want to take the candle that we have, and we want to add stuff around it. So whether that be more like vines, more pumpkin vines, or whether it's quartz stairs, or whether it's like melted wax in the form of quartz slabs, then that's what you want to have. But again, this is kind of completely up to you how that wants to look. Do make sure that it looks good, and I actually kind of like what I had there previously. So you can see that we have something that kind of looks like melted wax now, just on the pumpkin vine. I'm going to add another one. Oh, you know what might look good? Another one there. There we go. Just alter it until you're happy with it. We're then going to come to the opposite side, the front right-hand corner this time, and we're going to do a very similar idea. It's just going to be green hardened clay, in kind of like a random abstract pattern, or you can start with the block of quartz like this, and this candle is going to be a bit bigger, and you can start with the block of quartz, you can make the actual candle, and then you can work on all of the vines and stuff, like whichever way round you want to do it, whichever way round it's more important to you, you think you can do a better job, then you do that. But I kind of like this process. I actually prefer to make the vines and stuff first, and then I prefer to work on the candle. But it can look anything how you like. It's just whatever you think you have to do to make it look good. Like whether you want to add more patches of white for the quartz, or whether you want to add more vines, that's completely up to you. I actually think that looks kind of good there, like that. And I'm not going to neglect the back of these either. I can place a little bit of quartz here for the melted wax, and I can do the same on the opposite one as well. So I can add some stairs, and I could add some wax, just to give it a bit more of a detailed effect. I think that's what we want to have there, and that's perfect. I think they look quite good. So now it looks as though the pumpkin actually has two artificial candles that are attached to it. Some additional things that you may want to add around your pumpkin to enhance it may include a creepy cobblestone path and some graves. So the cobblestone path is quite self-explanatory. It is going to lead from the mouth of the pumpkin, the entrance to the house, to the exit of the graveyard. So the path really wants to go as far as you think the actual graveyard will come out to, and you just want to destroy in the floor, preferably in kind of like a broken path pattern, as I have done now, and you want to replace it with cobblestone or something else equally as creepy. Now I'm going to place a couple of graves around the place. So these graves are very simple. They're basically two back-to-back stone brick stairs with 2 soul sand, I don't know why it's so hard for me to pronounce that, soul sand placed in front of the graves, like this. And it just gives you a cool little grave effect. It's a really nice little addition that takes no time whatsoever, looks really good. Place some in front of the pumpkin, place some at the side, place some at the back. Place as many as you think you want to add to make this house look as creepy as you possibly like. More graves, more better. So, once we've placed our graves, I think that we are perfectly happy with the 4 that we've placed. I think that what we are also going to add is some podzol. Podzol is a great block for just campsites and anything creepy. Anywhere that you want to convey that there is disturbed land, podzol is your friend. So, destroy around the candles, perhaps. Destroy blocks around the candles and place podzol in them. It'll look like there's been some activity in the ground around the podzol. Maybe destroy some around the graves. I don't particularly like that effect, but it might look as though zombies have crawled out of the graves. I'm going to do this around the candle as well, around the opposite candle, and I may even do a little bit of podzol around the path. Although, thinking about it now, I don't want to add it, but that's definitely something that you may want to do. I'm just adding the podzol where I personally like it. You can like it anywhere you like. So I'm just adding the podzol around here. I'm going to make it look a little bit less artificial in a moment because this looks very dotty at the moment. I'm just going to add a little bit more podzol to make it look as though it's kind of like naturally occurring rather than what has actually just happened, which is just me placing it around the place. But there we go. We've added a nice little bit of podzol. Some things that you may also want to add before we get into the actual... No, you know what? Here's what we should do first. We should establish the boundaries of where this house ends and where it begins, because this house is built in a graveyard. I'm going to place a broken cobblestone wall going all the way around the outside of the perimeter of what I want to be the little graveyard that I'm making. So it doesn't have to be even, it doesn't have to be the same amount of blocks that is on the left as it is the right. The cobblestone wall can be as broken as you like, but I do want to establish where this house is actually going to be. So I just want to figure out for myself where I'm going to be placing all of the next bit of decoration, how far this house is going to come out, and all of the important things that we need to know before we actually decorate this house properly. So I think that this is about as good as we want, as far out as we want it to come. It's not necessarily going to be the same size on, like it's not going to necessarily be perfectly centered, the pumpkin house, but that is perfectly fine. Can I place this on podzol? If I can, I'll place it on podzol. Perfect. So yeah, it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up in any way, shape, or form. Just have it connect on the front, or as a matter of fact, you don't want it to connect on the front necessarily, but just have it in line. Just have it in line with itself, if that makes sense. So you can see here, we now have a big, giant, broken, kind of square shape of cobblestone wall. What I would also do is I would add iron bars to the wall. Not necessarily on every single bit of wall. Like, you might want to add some of the iron bars, I actually don't want it to point out like that. You might just want to add just like a single bar to a bit of wall, but the idea we're going for is like broken iron bars, and some parts of this you might want to be longer than others, like that whole bit of wall there had iron bars on it, so it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. Just place some iron bars on the wall, it makes it look a little bit nicer. The more detail you add, the better. That is really the whole thing with this build. It's just add a nice little bit of detail everywhere, and it just improves the whole look of the place. And that works for building in general, actually. I'm going to leave that wall alone. So there we go. Just add a little bit of iron around the place. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to, with the spruce wood sapling, some bone meal, and some dead bushes, or some shrubs as they're more commonly known, I'm going to add some trees and stuff. So I'm going to add a spruce sapling here, right in the front corner of the build. I'm also going to add a spruce sapling, or a few of them. I'll actually add a few spruce saplings behind the pumpkin because there's not too much going on around the pumpkin, so I'm going to add a couple of spruce saplings. I'm not going to have a spruce sapling on the very front left-hand corner of the build. I'm only going to have the sapling on the front right-hand corner. So I'm just going to grow all of these trees, and I might place a bit of bone meal around the front. The only issue with bone meal is that I don't want flowers exactly. I don't really want flowers, so bone meal isn't very well equipped for this. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to grab some tall grass, because I think that that is much better for what I want to do. Now I'm going to add some shrubs, because they look like very dead plants, and I'm going to add some just some tall grass around the place, and it's just going to make the place once again a little bit more detailed, a little bit more spooky. You don't have to go absolutely insane with this stuff, just do a little bit, and there you go. You've improved the landscape of this place significantly. That is wonderful. Okay, so that's the entire outside of this place pretty much done. For the inside of this place, there's not too much for me to show you. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure how I constructed that chandelier inside the pumpkin, but I can show you how I made the theme bed. For the theme bed, we need some block of quartz, we need some quartz slabs, we need some stone slabs, we need a bed, we need a netherrack, preferably something to light said netherrack, so maybe like flint and steel or something like that, and that's pretty much us good to go. You know what? Actually, give me a sec, let me light the pumpkin. Okay, so the pumpkin's a bit better lit up now. So we're going to have a theme bed right at the very back center-ish of our pumpkin. This is supposed to look like a little bit of a candle, and it kind of perpetuates the like jack-o'-lantern that we have. So we want to line up with the very three empty blocks at the start of this build. So can you see where the mouth dips in? This is where we want the candle bed to sit, inside these three blocks. So you can follow these back, and you can place a little bit of a marker at the back of the house. Those should line up with the start. So we want to have, basically, throw a bed on the ground, like that, and place block of quartz going around the bed. And maybe, you know what, we'll move the bed one block further, like that, towards us, and place, like, block of quartz going around the bed. We want to be able to access the bed. So now we're going to build up the block of quartz a little bit. We're going to add, we'll add 2 layers of block of quartz to this thing, like that. I'm now going to grab the quartz stairs, which I'm sure I have some in my inventory, but I'll grab some new ones, and I'm just going to place a layer of quartz stairs that goes all the way around the top of what I've just made. And this is, at its base, a candle shape, really, when you look at it. I'm going to place a netherrack right at the very top, and I'm going to light it with the flint and steel for a bit more light. So now I'm going to add a little bit, I'm going to add some quartz stairs just here at the top of the candle, like that. I'm also going to add some stone slabs going around the base of the candle. I don't want them to connect. I want them to look a little bit like that. And there you have just a nice little candle. And the whole point of this is just so that we can see it from the outside, because it looks really cool from the outside. That's the entire point of it. Some things that you might want to add about the place. You might want to add some really cool themed-ish lighting. I say themed lighting. Like, it's basically just netherrack with, like, let's say a cobblestone stairs in front of it, and then maybe like behind it as well, or to the left and to the right of it, and then maybe like light it. Like, there's, I guess it's not really too themed at all, it's just, I think that it kind of fits in nicely with this particular theme of the scary, spoopy pumpkins. So you might just want to add a couple of these about the place, just to light things up a bit. There we are. And you might also want to add like a really creepy chandelier in the top of this, although I don't, you know what, thinking about it, I don't know why I added it initially, and it doesn't look particularly good, so I don't think that we're going to add it for this at all. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to very, very quickly fill in the floor. I'll show you what this looks like, and then we'll probably say our goodbyes, because I really didn't want to make the interior that much. The entire point of this house is the outside of this house. This isn't like a permanent home. This isn't like a permanent house like where you want to keep all of your stuff. This is really just kind of like a really really cool thing that you come across in the world, and you just so happen to keep some things around. So I'm just going to continue destroying the floor. I'm going to throw the orange clay in, and then we can take a look at what we've made. And there we go, that is the entire inside of this house filled in. And of course, no one is stopping you. If you want to add a few homely changes, like if you wanted to add some chests about the place, maybe if you even wanted to have like a hidden ender chest at the back, maybe if you wanted a crafting table and furnace and a brewing stand and everything, no one's stopping you. You can turn this into a nice little home. It's just that the entire draw of this house for me is not necessarily functionality. It's just the cool factor of having this really spooky, scary pumpkin just in the middle of nowhere. Imagine if you just had a graveyard just in the middle of one of your Minecraft worlds and you had this really scary pumpkin in the center of it. So that's really all I wanted to show you guys. That's all I really wanted to show you how to build, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. I'd really appreciate it. Comment down below, what else would you like to see in the future? Would you like to see more scary builds? I do have a couple more in mind if you guys are interested. Would you just like to see me go back to regular houses? Whatever you want, let me know down there in the comments. Follow me on Twitter at TSMC360. Keep in touch with me there, send me pictures of stuff that you've made. I'd love to see what you guys have been up to. Check out the cards, check out the description below. Not only will I link you a couple of other scary builds that I've made in the past, nodding over to the clown there, but I'll also show you how to make some of the things that you may see in this world surrounding me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.